CBS Sports. All right, and they have the Denver Broncos doing a draft day trade, where they are not picking at 20. In fact, they are completely trading out of the first round.
Out of the first round?
Completely. And they're doing a deal with that team from Duval County down there in Jacksonville.
Duval.
So in this scenario, Jacksonville wants back in the first round, all right, because they pick, I forget when they pick, somewhere 10, 11, somewhere like that. But they get back into the first round. They do a deal with Denver. Jacksonville has Denver's 20th overall pick, and they select in this scenario. Actually, let me keep the names out for a second. Let me just keep the names out for a second.
Well, let me stop you right there, Zach, because right when you said the Denver Broncos are trading out of the first round, there's going to be a bunch of fans out there upset.
Sure.
They're going to be booing. They're going to be angry because you finally have an opportunity to have 2 years in a row where you can pick in the first round. You hit on Bo Nix. If you can hit on the next young man that comes in the building in the first round, that's what you need to help this team out. So for people that are not in the building, they're going to be upset. Why are we trading out of the first round? Why are we trading with the Jacksonville Jaguars? We don't care about them. But there's a reason for somebody's madness.
Totally.
You know, I'm just putting it out there. People will be upset. Me personally, I would not be upset. And I know that you're going to keep going and continuing. I would not be upset. I think there's reasons why you trade out of the first round, especially if you don't think that you're going to get the guy that you really want in the first round. Don't force it.
Well, in this scenario, the Broncos trade their 20th overall pick. They trade back. They get the Jags' second round pick. All right, so they're now picking at 36th. And they also get 2 additional third-round picks. The picks are pick 70th and pick 88, both in the third round. Okay?
So let me get this straight. We give up our first-round draft pick.
Yep.
We get an additional second. So now you have 2 second-round draft picks.
Correct.
And you'll have 3 third-round draft picks altogether.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So it's one of these things where, yeah, you're not picking in the third round, but you're getting 3 picks in the top 88 selections from Jacksonville. Again, the 36th overall pick, so right at the top of the second round. This would be there's 32 teams in the NFL, so this would be the 4th pick of the second round. All right, so just 4 picks out of the first round. It's, you know, those first 5 picks, almost like that first round extended a little bit. That's how I choose to look at it. So you'd be getting an early second round pick and 2 third-round picks. I'm going to be honest. I don't hate this scenario at all.
Oh, this would be a steal for the Denver Broncos, Zach. You get more opportunities to get the picks right. You get more young players in the building that can help you out right away and later on in the future. Why would you not want this? Especially what I said earlier. If you're stretching to just pick a player because you have that pick, but you truly don't believe he's a first-round draft pick, or you truly don't believe that he's the guy that you really want, why force something that's not there when you can trade back, add more picks, get a player that you know you want in the second round, 2 players in the second round,
right,
and then go into the third round with 3 options to get three young men that can help you out right away?
That is just, honestly, again, now you'd have to feel comfortable and trust on your evaluations that, hey, the top 2 tight ends aren't there anymore. Let's just say the top 2 running backs aren't there anymore. And we'll get to the actual people because they actually assigned some players to these picks, and we'll get to that in a second. But if your evaluation says, guess what? There's no one left on this board that we have a first-round grade on. And just because players are picked in the first round, these organizations will often tell you that, yeah, there's 32 first-round picks, but there's only first-round grades to maybe 14 to 21 players. And if you're picking at 20, that might be in the range where you're no longer looking at players with a first-round grade. And if you can give yourself more ammunition in rounds 2 and 3, you're not guaranteed anything in round 1. So if you give yourself more darts to throw at that dartboard, I just think the flexibility that you get. Also, maybe you get into the third round and a guy you have a second round grade on is there at the top of the third round. You can take some of this ammunition that Jacksonville gave you.
You have more opportunities, Zach.
And move back up the draft board.
But guess what? Also, you have a guy in the build named George Paton who does a phenomenal job of evaluating talent. Why not give him more opportunities? Why not give him the opportunity to put a player in a position where it's like, hey, we pick him up, he's going to change our team around and nobody's talking about him. Like, we have to trust George. And if George decides to trade back, Sean decides to trade back, we should all be happy about it. More players are going to be in the building, more opportunities to get better. And think about it. What do we really and truly need? Like, what do we have to have in the draft that we did not get in free agency so far?
A running back?
That is it. We filled the tight end position with Evan Ingram, who we believe can be the Joker. You filled the safety position with Hufanga. Now he's a dynamic duo with Brandon Jones and Hufanga. You filled the inside linebacker position with Greenlaw to go with Alex Singleton when he's healthy. Now you just need to add depth in a running back. And we talked about taking a running back in the first or second round anyway, because the running back position supposedly is a full, and there's a lot of running backs out there that can make major impacts right away.
Yeah, there's
it's deep.
Allegedly like 30 draftable running backs in this class.
Yeah, so it's like, why force something when you don't have to force it? Trade back, still get the players that you want, but also add a couple more picks to get more players to come to your organization and help you win games.
This was George Paton last month talking about picks beyond the first round that he has this year that he may not have had in the past. Listen to this.
It's really beneficial. You can add blue chip players throughout the draft. It's a little more difficult, but it just gives you more flexibility. I mean, you know, when you're in this, you can move back in the first, you can move back in the second, just get picks. It helps you work the draft board a little easier when you have a second. When you don't have that second, it's hard to move up in the first. You know, and so it's huge. The second round's a key area. We've done pretty good in the second, and so you know, it's great to have it.
And this is where you could have the relationship between Sean and George this time of year start to clash a little bit, because the coach and the general manager for this time of year can see things differently. And Sean...
But what did you say to Sean, though? Like,
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
I was going to say, what did you say to Sean earlier a month ago?
Yep, I'm getting there, because the same phrase is going to come out of my mouth here.
All right.
Good memory on you, because you're already beating me to it.
I'm writing it down right now.
General managers want more picks. This is not an exact science. You're going to miss. You're going to miss on players, all right? George has proven to be pretty good at this, okay? And you hear him give his own self a little hat tip where he says, we've done pretty good in the second round. Since George Paton, and it's not just the second round, because I'm including the third round in this as well.
Yeah.
I'm like the depths of the draft, because in this exercise with Jacksonville, and if you're just joining us and missed it off the top, there's a trade scenario from CBS Sports where Denver trades out of the first round completely, gives up their 20th overall pick to Jacksonville, and in return get the fourth pick in the second round, the 36th overall pick, and 2 additional third-round picks. You look, since George Paton got this job, what he has done in the second and third round. When you look at a guy like Javonte Williams, I know Javonte had a career derailing injury. His first year...
Yeah, not his first year.
...looked like he was a special back or trending to be a special back. Quinn Miners, they drafted with the 98th overall pick in the third round. He is a cornerstone of this franchise. They also drafted Baron Browning, who had a solid career here in Denver, and even in year 4 got an asset back in return. You look at Greg Dulcich was a miss, all right? That did not work out. But Nick Benito hit. That was a second-round pick from George Paton in 2022, 64th overall. He's a cornerstone player. Marvin Mims is a second-round pick. He looks like a huge part of the offensive future. Drew Sanders, we'll see what that looks like. He was a third-round pick. Riley Moss looks like the perfect fit opposite of PS2. He's a third-round pick. Jonah Ellis looks like he's a part of this defensive core. He's a third-round pick. George has done great in the draft. So
So what are you saying? You're saying he needs to trade back to get a second-round pick and two more third-round picks,
Yeah,
so that he can continue to do what you just listed.
if their evaluations say that best player available, a first-round grade, it doesn't make sense right now, trade back, give George more cracks at this. And Sean, stay out of George's way with the draft. All right? Obviously,
Why you have to say it like that?
because Sean needs to hear it like that. Sean is a domineering alpha dog personality, and he's going to have visions and all that stuff, and he obviously needs to be a huge part of this huge.
Well, you know Sean's going to have to sign off on it no matter what.
Of course, but he has got. If there's one thing, George has not proven to maybe hire the right coaches or make the right trades and this stuff, but he has shown a propensity to be successful in the NFL draft. All right, and that's the lifeblood of this organization. I would just obviously it's going to be collaborative, and I'm being a little.
Both sides have to agree on it. It's going to pretty much be Sean agreeing on it. Sean has to sign off. I'm just saying, Sean is the guy.
Of course, he's the boss. He's the boss, but sometimes one of the best qualities about being a boss is letting someone else do their job.
Yeah, do your job. Do your job, George. And Sean, let George do his job. Do his job. I like it. I honestly want the Denver Broncos to trade back, have more opportunities. And when George goes out there and confidently says in the second and third rounds, I've done a great job of hitting on good players, give him more opportunities in the second round. Give him another 2 opportunities in the third round to add value to this team. Let George do his part, his job. I'm okay with that, Zach. Now, I wouldn't go to Sean and say, hey, sit down and back off.
Of course. I would have
a conversation and say, hey, Sean, let my man do his job. Trust him.
You know who honestly needs to communicate that in a certain way is Greg Penner. Because Greg Penner has done a great job of just empowering people to do their job. But that's got to trickle down from Greg to Sean and then from Sean to George. And I am putting Sean over George in this instance because he's really the...
I like that you said Greg Penner needs to step in, but who really needs to step in is George himself. Have that conversation. It doesn't have to be a mean one, but it's like, Sean, let me do my job. Trust me. All right? Let me do what I was brought here to do in the first place. And I do a great job evaluating talent, as you can see. We're signing all the players that I've drafted.
Right.
Let me have this. And if you talk to somebody the right
Let
way,
me have
look,
this.
if you talk to somebody the right way,
this is all I have left, Sean. Let me have this.
This is all I get. All right, let me have this. Let me have this fun, this moment.
No, I think that there's something to it. I really do. And look, obviously I'm being a little bit sensationalistic, saying, "Hey, stay out of George's
You're
way.
Like, back up, stay back."
But I think there's something to it because at George's heart, the reason he's here, literally, the reason he's here is because he excelled as a scout. That's who he is at his core. He's just a scout with the general manager title. So let's bring in Mike Klis for this. Mike, he's with us on the Johnson Auto Plaza hotline. Okay, he's presented by Fitness Gallery. Mike, we were just having the conversation. You know, CBS Sports has a scenario out there where it has the Broncos trading out of the first round completely, trading their 20th overall pick to Jacksonville. And in turn, the Broncos receive the 36th overall pick, so the 4th pick of the second round, plus 2 additional third-round picks. And given how George Paton has really done a nice job, particularly in rounds 2 and 3 with the likes of Jonah Ellis and Riley Moss and Nick Bonito and Marvin Mims, etc., Quinn Miners, I think that it might be advantageous to allow George to do what he does best, and that's evaluate talent, accumulate more darts at the dartboard. What do you think of this scenario?
Yeah, I like it. I definitely do like it, providing they get a running back at 36. Then don't wait any longer on the running back at 36. They need a RB1. And it's, if not 2051 is at the latest. So, yeah, that's I mean, George could turn that. You're right. I mean, he didn't have second round picks when he got Marvin Mims with the last pick in the second round 2 years ago, and he got Benito with the last pick in the second round 3 years ago. So he did turn those. And scouting, I heard you talking. I think scouting and evaluating is what George does best. I mean, he's a good evaluator, and not everything has turned out. I think maybe he felt the pressure to go get a quarterback when he got Russ. I think before Russ, he felt the pressure of getting Aaron Rodgers, and when he hired Nathaniel Hackett, and those led to some unfortunate decisions. But as a pure talent evaluator and a pure scout, I do think that's where Georgia's strengths are. I'm not saying they should do what that scenario is, but I think the Broncos could take advantage of it.
Mike, you have Jonathan Cooper that just it was breaking news that just restructured his contract, and it's saving the Broncos $3.2 this year on their cap. What's going on? Should we expect another big-time move in the free agency market, or is it just something that George is doing to help pretty much maybe sign somebody that's in-house?
Well, he's got to get Benito done and do something with Cortland Sutton. That's for sure. And I don't think I don't think there is any more major signing that's coming down the pike. But you still, they didn't have a whole lot of room after this free agent, and you got to spend more than $10 million cap room and with the draft picks. So they did need a little flexibility. Of course, they still had that $32 million dead cap with Russ that they had to maneuver around. So it's. So those cap things are funny, and everybody follows with the cap, but the cap can be anything you want it to be.
Yep.
All you got to do is convert the money to signing bonus to some kind of bonus, and voila, there it is. Your cap gets reduced by a couple million, or you get a couple more million in dead cap space. That's why I pay more attention to the cash than the cap. And but as far as in-house, Benito and Sutton are probably the two they got to take care of.
Mike, are you a little bit surprised, like I am, that the Broncos hadn't done anything at the running back position? Like, it feels like the entire market agrees that's the biggest glaring need. You got to upgrade it, but you're relying just on the draft. And if that's the approach, you are going into 2025 with a certain level of mystery for every back in the room if that's the only approach, even if it is a first rounder, to go with Audric Estime, who's still a mystery, to go with Jaleel, who's still largely a mystery. Are you surprised that they haven't done anything in free agency? And the second part is, do you expect them to circle back after the draft in that department?
Yeah, no, look, when your draft is strong, running back is the one position. You draft those guys every 4 years. I mean, you keep them young. I'm not surprised. The draft is loaded with running backs. That's where they should get their RB1, their running back. And so free agency, you get guys who have been beat up a little bit. You got to pay them a little money. Having said that, I do think they might get a role guy. A Samaje P. Ryan type. I do think they would get that because of kind of what you just said. They need a veteran to mentor the room, even if that veteran is on the practice squad to start the year and doesn't make the 53. Jaleel will make the 53. Audric Estime will make the 53, and their draft pick, which should come in the first or second round, will be on the 53, and there's your three running backs, three young guys. And I do think they should get a veteran who knows how to pass pro, who knows how to catch the ball out of the backfield. They should get one of those guys in free agency, and that still may be a week or two away before they get that type of running back. But am I surprised the first wave and even the second wave of free agency's gone by without a running back? No, I would have been surprised. we said going in, guys, there are three priorities. We're inside linebacker, check. It was a safety, which I know surprised some people because of P.J. Locke, but they wanted to upgrade there, and that was a check. And then the Joker tight end, and that was checked there.
Mike, you keep on saying that you don't think the Denver Broncos are going to kind of pursue the free agent market anymore. If they do, maybe a small market for a different player, maybe a depth piece. But don't you think that we still need another veteran presence at the receiver position to kind of pair with Courtland Sutton because of just the unknown with Vele? Like, Vele had a great year, but can he take that next step? Troy Franklin, can he take another step? Marvin Mims.
Right.
Like, wouldn't you love to see maybe another veteran in there that can help Bo Nix out to go with Evan Ingram and Courtland Sutton, who've been playing for a very long time?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I have been saying at the receiver position I'm still thinking that they're going to look at that 2.5 type of receiver, which was Josh Reynolds last year. I think Lil Jordan Humphrey was more of a 3 to a 3.5. Even though he had the second most snaps last year. As far as playing time, Lil Jordan was their number 2 receiver that they lost today to the Giants. But we all know that as far as targets and receiving go, he was more like a 3 to a 4. So I do think I agree. I think they need a veteran receiver that can kind of bridge that gap between Vele and Courtland Sutton. Last year, Josh Reynolds, I do believe they signed him after the owners' meetings, more like about March 28th that they signed Josh Reynolds. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's their strategy again, which is still another week away here.
Mike, as always, we appreciate your time. Love catching up with you on a Friday. Have a great weekend. We'll do this again next week.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. That's our guy, Mike Klis, our 9 News Broncos insider, brought to you by Fitness Gallery, home of the world's finest fitness equipment. I got to get this off my chest really quick before we move on. Because when it comes to the running back, there's this thought. It's like, well, you can just go get a running back. You can just go get one. You can just go get one anywhere in the draft. It's like,
I feel like a tear is about to shed right now for me.
It's like the Broncos have tried everything and somehow haven't been able to figure this thing out. Devontae Booker, take him in the 4th round. D'Angelo Henderson, take him late. Royce Freeman, draft him with a top 75 pick. David Williams, let's try taking him late as well. Let's bring in Melvin Gordon. Let's go undrafted with Jaleel or Javonte Williams
in the second round.
5 ppicks into the second round. None of it's worked. None of it. The last time it truly worked is...
So you're saying you're valuing running backs a little differently now, huh?
Well, yes, for sure. But I don't like the dismissive tone where it's like you can just find them anywhere because the Broncos have looked almost everywhere.
Look, Zach, this is what the running back position has been trying to tell everybody for a very long time. Like, yes, you can just go out there and find a running back, just like you can just go out there and find a receiver. But a really good one, a running back that can be explosive, can pass block, can catch out the backfield, and do some special teams if you need him to, those are hard to find. And you're going to have to dig deep if you want to find an elite running back. And a lot of times those elite running backs, they might be in the 1st round, or you might find a diamond in the rough as a free agent running back like me, undrafted. But a lot of times, if you have a running back in the 1st round and you're there and you can pick him up, pick him up. Pick him up if he's just sitting right there. Don't mess around with it.
Well, I have been resistant to that for years and have now started to come around a little bit as the value and importance is just...
Well, this is all we need now. We just went through it. Like, what else do the Denver Broncos truly need other than depth?
Yeah.
Of course, you can never have enough pass rushers, never have enough cornerbacks. But what do we truly need? All right, we got the safety position secured, inside linebackers position secured, the tight end position secured. What else do we need? We need that running back.
We'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. And we never finished this exercise from CBS Sports because we can actually attach some names to go along with what they have forecasted. See if we like the scenario more or less when you start to attach actual players to it. We'll do that exercise just a little bit later in the show. But 41 years ago today,